We've mentioned before that in the entire process of security control, part of the work is outsourced. This involves a control related to procurement, and we must also consider procurement in our security risk management. Generally, both software and hardware, including operations and maintenance, now involve third parties. For instance, in security operations, we can outsource. Let's examine this more closely, starting with a key principle when we select a supplier. Establishing a common network security definition for procurement. What does that mean? For our internal operations, this might be security policies or standards. Externally, however, this is understood as a requirement for tendering or a description for tendering. We all have gone through tendering processes, so for the client, the definitions of products or security requirements in the tender documents must be explicit. If our own definitions of our needs for security are unclear, it is difficult for our vendors to fully comply. For instance, there was an exam question about a vendor's integrated system missing a critical security feature, asking what the client should have done beforehand. Clearly, my tender requirements were insufficient. In tendering, this is known as the statement of work. So, essentially a technical description within the client's tender documents regarding the project. This description, which defines security, is crucial. Besides having a clear security definition, reliable suppliers are also essential. From a procurement perspective, this involves supply chain management. Do we have a mature and stable group of suppliers forming a reliable supply chain? This is also very important. Regarding those supply chains, fundamentally, ensuring their security means they must have the necessary qualifications. Preferably, we aim for large manufacturers or, as everyone knows, during tendering, when you place your bid. Our company's scale of operations, including experience, years in business, and the number of certified personnel like those we are training in dual SP are all factors. The more certified dual SP personnel a company has, the stronger its technical capabilities. These are all aspects we need to consider. Such qualifications require assessments or audits. With the client having security definitions, the vendor bids, and thus there is a process called on-site evaluation, usually conducted by third-party experts we recruit. Expert evaluators, specifically required by procurement law, indicate that the client cannot have the final word alone. Third-party involvement ensures fairness. This ensures the entire procurement process is fair and reasonable. After we select the top supplier, the next step involves signing a contract with them. The contract is one aspect, but if it's a short-term project, we just sign the contract. If it's a long-term project, it might involve security operations. In this case, what we often sign are SLAs, known as service level agreements or service level commitments. These agreements specify service quality standards and requirements for the long term. Upon meeting these standards or requirements, the client then pays the vendor. If these are not met, there might be compensation involved. Thus, it becomes a long-term agreement, which is why service level agreements, SLAs, are commonly used in IT enterprises. It's evident within SLAs that we need to define a minimum security requirement, as we've said, because for the client, this is not just a baseline. But what we stipulate in SLAs is essentially part of the contract. The requirements of a contract need to clearly define the responsibilities, rights, and obligations of both parties. In gathering requirements or defining security standards, certain techniques are used, such as interviews, right? This involves how both parties clarify matters between themselves, which is crucial. Both need to share and document the requirements. Documenting, whether on paper or digitally, is very important. And from the vendor's perspective, they must confirm this, which could involve playback. Repetition or further communication with the client is used for confirmation. Even so, because this security is honestly quite difficult, business requirements can be clarified through business environment assessments or commercial arguments. Sometimes security is not achieved overnight, but is continuously improved step by step. We talked about the plan, do, check cycle, hence many projects, including IT projects, using prototyping. Prototyping, in essence, involves a multi-version concept. It means I might not meet all requirements or security standards in one version. Improvements are gradual. This has two benefits. First, it allows for quicker product delivery. If I were to demand perfection, the software might never go live because it's always problematic. So, I first launch the features that are stable and reliable. Secondly, it reduces risks because if I were to deliver a product all at once, my requirements analysis might not be sufficient, transparent, or complete. The cost of reworking a product that doesn't meet expectations could be high. Hence, we prefer small steps, quick runs. You launch faster, but each version only addresses certain parts of the requirements, making it easier to adjust if issues arise. Clearly, this is also a process of continuous improvement. Therefore, during this process, we can rely on service-level reports. These reports show what we have accomplished, what has been accepted, or are done periodically, like conducting a security audit every 3 months. As previously mentioned, whether it's internal or organizational assessments, techniques like vulnerability scans or red-blue team exercises might be used. Now, regarding the vendor's work, whether it meets our satisfaction expectations or adheres to functional standards, we can also conduct regular audits. This is what constitutes service-level commitments or reports.